Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of the Scannell Agenda. I'm Stephen J. F. Scannell. This is my lovely bride, Pamela
Scannell.
So the title of the show is Why Bundle Food, Soil, and Recycle? Question mark. In other words, why bundle the systems? I think in systems, and I design comprehensive, complex systems for the public trust, as I've said many times. So the title is Why Bundle Food, Soil, Recycle? Today's date is Tuesday, October 10th.
No.
October 16th, thank you, honey. October 16th,
Yep.
2018.
And it's
Boy,
Tuesday.
what would I do without you?
And it's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And it's show 92. Did you say that?
Did I say that? I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
Well, it is show 92.
Yeah, almost 100.
Getting there. Now, in fisheries, where I really got my start, and they were saying, Steve, what you're doing here is complex systems. So I said, really? What's that? They said, well, that's what you're doing. You're designing these a fishery system, which is a complex system. And the complex system then, and it hasn't changed much, was comprehensive in nature. And it actually dovetails on this system that I'm calling MFSR, which stands for Megasystem, Food, Soil, and Recycle. Now with this system, it's the same as fisheries. We tax what we don't like, and we subsidize what we do like. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about farm subsidies and other subsidies. Now this system could be also called the Stay Alive system. I came up with that today.
Mm-hmm.
We go to a 12-step meeting, and I was taking notes, and I don't really feel like bringing that meeting in here, but there was a lot of apropos kind of like phrases, let's say, like settling for less.
And it was discussion meeting, actually.
Yeah, it was about the isms and coincidences.
Settling for less.
Yeah.
Try to do the next right thing.
Yeah, and a lot of that, I think it relates because
It does.
I think what we really need to do is kind of base this on the community, base it on good food and living. And to do that, it might be handy to just say, for argument's sake, have these 12-step meetings for all of our junk food junkies and public resource, public policy aficionados, of which I consider myself a connoisseur, like you're a connoisseur of pizza.
Of food, period.
Right, of food, period. Hey, can you mention what's good food?
Yeah, trail mix with cranberries, pita bread hummus, cranberry juice, exclamation point, lettuce, avocados, strawberries, cottage cheese with chives,
Hood.
oranges, spinach salad warm.
Yum. Yeah, we know how to eat good food. We delve off and eat some candy once in a while, don't we, honey? Yeah. And we don't eat good food like religiously, as
Constantly.
they say. So these meetings for the junk food junkies could be like a 12-step style meeting, and it could also be twice a week or twice a month. You know? If you had a soup kitchen, it could be every day. But anyway, I digress. We're
We're talking recently about fasting. Do cranberry juice and have our coffee as well, and then like at 2 o'clock break the fast.
Yeah.
But it is good to step back from,
Yeah.
fasting is good.
Yeah, I
It
went
is
from
good.
230 pounds down to like 185 once when I was at Bay Bridge. I was eating all the pasta, lots of pasta, cheap food. And I said, man, look at me, I'm fat. I was 230 pounds. This was a number of years ago. And I didn't like that, so I changed over and I said, okay, coffee in the morning's okay, but no sugar. And then I said,
Yeah, no sugar's a good way to do that. It's not that hard.
Right, you've done that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an easy way out.
Yep. I
And
have a
keep the
waffle
weight
in the
down.
morning quite often. I put some honey on it. And that, I don't know what I'm saying about that, but could eat a plain waffle. But anyway, what was I going to say?
I like syrup on the waffle.
Yeah. So the way you frame, for the regular folks in a community, the way you frame a system is kind of important. I never did a good job in fisheries on framing the questions. Just for regular folks, I'm always getting off into the weeds about economics and the habitat and everything else. So with this system, I'd like to frame it as, a stay alive system. Now, food, soil, and recycle, we all have our systems. These are microeconomic systems at home, let's say. We all have basically one or two major systems that operate with the food, with the soil, and with recycling. So with the food macroeconomic system that we have in this country, it's actually two systems. We have organic is breaking off and kind of becoming its own genre. And then we have the system of, I call it, it's kind of a system of ingestion on faith. And I don't know how people feel about this, but I think that we don't even discuss GMOs. That's genetically modified organisms. When's the last time we had you and I? We haven't really. I read about it on Facebook, etc. So that to me is all about our blind faith and trust in our leaders. And it's not working out. So we need to lead them on this issue. A lot of people have faith in organic food, and a lot of people have faith in unorganic food because they don't want to go there. They can't afford to, eat the organic food, so they think. Anyway, these are discussions that can be had on the level of good food and living for junk food junkies. I mean, every little village could have a little meeting once in a while and get together in a church, talk about this and that, good healthy living, good healthy food, good for the kids, good for everybody. It's good to get together anyway. Like, remember that show that we did on coffee can and the green Jesus box? You remember that? Kind of like that kind of style. So if we were to take a poll of 10 groups, and I'll list 10 groups, poll the Democrats, poll the Republicans, Independents, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the Democratic Socialist Party, poll the evangelicals, poll the Catholics, poll the farmers, the fishermen, the deckhands, the permit holders, poll them and see about where they stand on, organic food, GMOs, food in general, different, we could do 10 different questions for people. I call it ingestion on faith. That's kind of where I'm at anyway. I am not disciplined with food like some people are. Remember we mentioned Scott Lively? He's disciplined. And he let us know it too, and he let the crowd know how he is. He's a disciplined man. And I crave more discipline, but I'm lazy. So our food system also entails penalizing. I think it's part of a food system, part of a recycle system, but it penalizes only the container of the Coke or Pepsi. You have to put a 5-cent deposit on. And if you look at this bottle here, this happens to be
Maine,
cranberry original,
mostly,
which is our favorite.
but not Massachusetts. I don't think it's cash back.
Well, if you read right here, honey, see that? That's California cash
Yeah.
refund.
Yeah, we're not
Oregon,
California.
10-cent deposit. Okay. And then it says Hawaii, Maine, 5-cent deposit.
Yeah.
So this is only partially these number of states, 1, 2, 3, 4 states out of 50 that are doing anything for this container. Now, I find that to be rather annoying.
Yeah.
I'm easily annoyed, as you know, right? I'm annoyed by all this kind of thing. Poor Pam.
It's all right.
All right. So anyway, we have a sin tax for the soda and the carbonation, etc. And here we have some sensible states that are bellying up to the bar. So I say federalize all this stuff with a comprehensive, complex system for recycling. Federalize the food penalty and incentives. We can do food penalties and food incentives. And then we can also do soil penalties and incentives. So on the farm, let's say if we tax 1, 2, 3, pesticides, herbicides, and chemical fertilizers, and there may be some other things thrown in the mix of the bad. And in fisheries, tax the bad, subsidize the good. In a way, this is in a way of coaxing or trending. So you start small with a small tax on pesticides, herbicides, and chemical fertilizers, perhaps on GMO products. And then what you do with that particular money, I say you match it, let the federal government match it, let the state match it, and then you take that money and put it over towards the organics. Let's say organic labor, maybe from the city. You subsidize town organics to the farms. No, we have a town dump still everywhere. And they collect all this organic material, the leaves, the lawn clippings, the branches. It's tonnage, it's major tonnage. So we can subsidize that to go to the farm, train loads of it, like the coal trains, piled up high, compacted. And we can bring organics to the farms, subsidize that. So we can subsidize organic transit and sales. In other words, if a big company, a big agribusiness company, takes advantage of some farm subsidies of this nature, they would have a little section of a big farm, let's say in Iowa, Nebraska. This is the real farm country, Indiana, Ohio, Tennessee. All these farms can start with an organic section that can be subsidized in some different ways. I just mentioned a couple. Here's a program, Kelp and Goats program. So that's a combination of market quota system, fishery management with this mega system for food, soil, and recycle. Now we can produce a lot of kelp. Kelp can be eaten by goats, rockweed. They have a Shetland goat that goes down to the ocean regularly. That's the Shetlands in, I think it's in Scotland. And I was told all about this on some TV program. And I said, oh, the light bulb went off in my head. And then I also have programs for the United States of America to breed up goats for the purposes of invasives. And then also to use goats for support for Africa, because they're starving, especially sub-Saharan Africa, and they have so many problems in Africa right now.
What's invasives mean?
Well, that's our Phragmites, Japanese bamboo. What else? There are many different invasives. If you want to get rid of the bittersweet. Mm-hmm. That fly is invading our stage here, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to leave. He hopped away.
Yeah.
He says, hey. Now on Nantucket, when I was married out there, I had a lawn that had to be perfect, and so but I wanted to be organic, so I was using the Espoma organic. It's kind of like a chicken fertilizer for the lawn. I also used it on roses with great success. Mm-hmm. So can we subsidize that organic fertilizer? Why not? Yep. It's organic, and you can use it on an organic farm. Give it the edge. This is all about the market quota system of fishery management, and that is, I invented coaxing, right? I invented encouragement. Did I? Maybe. I mean, I don't seem to hear people echoing this sentiment, but let's encourage what we can encourage that is good, and let's put a little penalty on what is bad or what isn't so good, and we can list these good and bad, and then tax the bad, incentivize the good, encourage it, and then that trends us. And if we can trend and trend and trend, and then pretty soon we got it made. It's all about trending slowly, because you don't want to shock the system, any system. Fisheries, farming, you don't want to shock these systems. Now, this system about bundling the food, the soil, the recycle, this speaks to that. You don't want to shock anybody's system. Now, with the recycle, we can overlay some of our social services program, and you want to get the right people sorting. Eventually, I think machinery will do most of the sorting of our garbage, okay? Because it's not a clean job. You get dirty diapers in the mix, you know? Who wants to put their hands on all that stuff? And it stinks, you know? So I'm not in favor of that long term, but short term, I think to get us from A to B, yeah, okay, we can have clubhouse people and poor people and kids and old people and everybody, billionaires. I mean, anyone that wants to do it could be paid to do some recycling work and some sorting, but maybe the clubhouse people could be paid a little more, and that would be part of putting people to work. A lot of this stuff is a jobs program, you might say. Now, that might be good or bad, or it might be neither good nor bad, depending on how it's done. Probably that's it in a nutshell, you know, depending on how you do it. Now, I want to see us tax sugar and the carbonated beverages, beer, tax the junk food. So that would be part of taxing food. Oh, we can't tax food. Well, let's have a look at this system. And we can always chant that we can't do this and can't do that. But I think a lot of this mess that we're in, 10 minutes, is kind of an oligarchy-created mess. You're always going to, somebody's ox is going to be gored. And so people start chanting. People that work, let's say, for the status quo, the oligarchy people, party hacks, they'll always start chanting the minute you bring something up. And this was how it was with my fishery system. I get shouted down because, oh, we can't, you know, what do the fishermen want to do? And this doesn't fall in line with what do the fishermen want to do. That was fisheries work that I do. This is the same thing. It's not about what the farmers want to do. We're eating the food. It's our system too. Even if it comes from a private farm, it still is our system because we're eating the food. So we tax the junk food. In a way, we're taxing bad soil. We're taxing recycle methods and things that they don't measure up as good. And then we help the organic kale grown by disabled. I mean, it could be Slow Money, as Woody Tash, who did an interview on NPR. If you Google that up, there was a show done. I chimed in. It was done on the vineyard.
Maybe capabilities.
Capabilities
kale.
Farm,
They're
yeah.
probably doing kale now, I would think.
Yeah. So you subsidize what's good somewhat, and that can be matched especially if it's part of a DMH program. Then DMH funding can come into play, or something like that. So there can be make work jobs of this nature. I would say it's temporary make work to hire people to do sorting, because that's all going to be down the road sorted by machinery. Because once we standardize plastics and materials, then the electric eye, as it was called, is going to see the color and knock it over here into this basket. And people won't need to do that. But just to get started, if at the point of manufacture you're taxing the bad and you're incentivizing the good, and that relates to the farm use of pesticides, herbicides, and chemical fertilizers. You tax at the point of manufacture, and then on the other end of it, you match it, and then subsidize the big farmers to do a little bit of organic farming. Get them involved. How can they say no? You know, make them an offer they can't refuse, as they say. The same thing with the, so that's soil, and with the food, it's taxing the sugar, and maybe you'd be subsidizing some carrot juice.
I forgot about carrot juice for the list.
Oh my God, we love carrot juice.
It's delicious.
We pay good
too.
money for it. And in that book on tractors at the at Social Security office, I love to grab that book. It's a little kid's book, and I look at that machine as it's hauling up all these carrots, you know, mechanized carrot cultivation. It's amazing. So, you know, maybe we could take Coca-Cola and Pepsi and then subsidize with that money. These are the sins of drinking a soda, which we like to do, right?
I don't think it's.
It's called a sin tax. I mean, cigarettes. Is that a sin?
That's, I'd say a sin.
Well,
it's not good for anybody.
Okay. These are the sin taxes. So we tax the sins and we subsidize the saintly works. Good and bad. That's ridiculous, I know. Okay. So why bundle the food, the soil, the recycle together as one system? I think to be comprehensive about these particular three systems would be a good idea. We can get all our ducks in a row from year to year, from quarter to quarter to quarter, as we build this system slowly build this system of this mega system for food, soil, and recycle. And we don't have to be too nasty about taxing, but we might want to get nasty 10 years later and start turning up the heat on the herbicides. When you have over here a robot that can pull the weeds, and you're still saying, I'll just use the chemicals, I don't care. Okay, time to turn the heat up. And this system can also subsidize things like research and development for mechanical weed pulling. And I was saying that on the bogs around here, do we ever need that? On the cranberry bogs, we need these mechanical robot weed pullers, ditch diggers, you know, because it's so expensive and we want to be competitive with our cranberry bogs. Now, what am I missing here? Anything?
Well, how about writing Trump on the taxing, get him going on that?
Oh, Trump, right. I did have something about that. I don't usually criticize Trump. I don't like to because he's such a together guy. However, where is it? Oh, here it is. Trump is a baby in public balance sheet thinking. I think he is. Now, when it comes to fisheries management, I have not heard President Trump talk intelligently on public resource management. And I'm published in public resource management. It's called the market quota system. And that was published by IIFET, International Institute for Fisheries, Economics, and Trade. That was the 2000 conference, and I presented over in Corvallis, Oregon. So with this sea farm system, market quota system, or as I call it sometimes, the pick your own strawberries method of fishery management, I think Trump's a baby. But maybe he says, hey, I am a baby. No one ever told me about this stuff. This is great. I think that's what he'd say. I think Donald Trump, since he understands the balance sheet so well, you know, he knows how to turn $2 into $5, okay? So with the Megasystem Food, Soil, and Recycle, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about balance sheets here. The Sea Farm balance sheets, the public balance sheet for our food system, our soils, and that may be that there's very little public about that particular balance sheet, but something is public, and that is our medical cost from bad food. And there are a lot of people talking about that, but it's hard to put numbers on it. Now, recycle, I think this is our public recycling system, which is kind of rinky-dink, I think. That's the word I'll use. It's a rinky-dink recycling system. Here's another one Donald Trump hasn't heard of, my border zone. 2 minutes. And now that's about the public balance sheet. We got all these issues with the drugs, the opioids, they call them now. You know, it was always the drugs. Oh, this one's on the drugs. Oh, this one's taken to drinking, you know, drinking and drugs. Now it's called opioids. It's always the words are getting changed. I don't really like that. Just call it what it is. It's the drugs. So I think Trump, I would hate to insult him and call him a 4-year-old baby when it comes to the public balance sheet thinking. But if you don't understand fishery management as the public balance sheet, if you're trying to do favors for people, these people have ruined the ocean. Okay, if you don't get that, President Trump, I don't think he gets it, because I haven't explained this to him, and I didn't run for lieutenant governor. Otherwise, President Trump would be getting it if I had stepped up and done that. But I only met Scott Lively, Dr. Scott Lively, very recently.
Right.
I need to get on the ball. So let us, Democrats and Republicans who understand this public balance sheet better than Donald Trump does, President Trump, let us explain it to him. And that's the Scannell agenda. You have a dog in the fight. Basic balance sheet economics is where it's at. So I think Donald Trump can learn, because he's done private balance sheet, you know, from 1 to 1,000 and back and forth, A to Z. He knows that private balance sheet, right? Mm-hmm. And as long as you are on the balance sheet page, he'll get it. But the public has a balance sheet and the private has a balance sheet. So with this system, fisheries or Megasystem Food, Soil, and Recycle, it's about the thinking on the balance sheet, whether it's public or private. And now we have a great system, Megasystem Food, Soil, and Recycle. That's about both public and private balance sheet coming to terms. Okay, that's the Scannell agenda. Thanks for watching.